This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
And I think that brings us to chapter 4, where they are off on the mission.
Yeah, so they run up to their rooms, grab some stuff, and head the hell out. And they're, rushing, right? Like, if we don't get out there first, then we're not going to get the name. And it's, it's typical 20-something pushing to the front of the line just to hurry up and wait.
Yet Moiraine's still, one of the last ones out there, because she actually gathers a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, because she remembers to, grab a sewing kit and extra socks and, normal stuff.
And a dagger that will come in handy slightly later.
Look, you want to be prepared. You always want to be prepared. She is Boy Scouting. Moiraine is being a Boy Scout about this.
But I think that is the dagger that she kills
Mirren
the Dark
Red
Friend.
Hill or something like that.
The big bad of the books, right?
Yes. Carrying a small dagger at your hip is still a good idea because sometimes you can't channel, and it's good to have a backup option. So here's a real blast of names. Katarina Al-Rudden, who we know does become Black Aja, but she is not Black Aja at this point because she's an accepted. We also get Carlinia, who gets her hair boiled off in a dream. Obviously, Alana, Pratala, Edicina, Dissandra, Tamila, Coladera, and Atwan. All of those names survive into the modern era of books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Madani, Brendas, Katarine, Carlinia, Alana, Pratel, Edicina, Tamila, Dissandra, Coladera, and Atwan. Yeah, are the names that I've got in the wiki.
Yeah, they all have stuff to do. They are all people who do plot. Some of them are Dark Friends, some of them are Loyalists, some of them are super, super cool and on our team. Some of them are just random characters drifting around in the background, not doing very much. But they all do something. And right now, they're all running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to pack and rush out the door. And it's very cute. We also get mention of Moraine's pre-Aldib horse. Her horse here is named Arrow. Because, horses don't live that long, so it'd be weird if they had the same horses here as they do later. But it's, the horses matter.
My first dog, before Timber, was named Arrow.
Aw.
Only somewhat related to this, but I did take that into account as a horse name, I guess I could go, you could have gone like Mandarb or whatever, but,
It's cool to go with a less obvious name.
Right. Hopper has been done, right? I
Right.
don't want to name my dog Hopper after Hopper, right? But I thought Arrow was pretty clever. Plus, if you've ever heard the Harry Nielsen song, Me and My Arrow, which was actually turned into an animated movie. He took the album, which is a very storytelling album about a kid and his dog in the land of Point, where everybody has a point and literally have a pointed head, except for this one kid who has a round head. And so he has to go on a journey to find his point, and obviously that point is a, analogy for his purpose.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah. And then he's got his dog Arrow with him, who has a point. And he's like, oh, part of my life is taking care of my dog, and part of what I do is to take care of my dog. And so that always spoke to me. And then to have Moiraine also have a horse named Arrow was I thought nice. I always have to wonder if maybe Jordan didn't know about that music.
Could have.
Is this a reference to the Harry Nielsen Me and My Arrow? I don't think so, but maybe.
It could be.
It could be.
Acceptance dresses do not have skirts divided for riding. It's very important to note that.
I definitely hided that, yeah.
And then we get paired up with this Stealer dude who's their guard for the day and who does end up respecting them and their work over the course of the day. And there's this exchange here about directions that I'm very confused about. And I'm wondering if our books say the same thing. Swan tries to get them to go to the West Bank. And then he says, I'm told to take you to the West Bank. And then Swan's mad about it. And then Moiraine thinks maybe she can change his mind. And I'm very confused because it sure seems like they're both saying that they're going to go to the same place. And I don't understand why there's a disagreement. And I'm wondering if yours says West Bank in both cases as well.
It does.
Okay, then why is Swan trying to redirect him to do what he's already doing? And why is she mad that he won't change from doing what he's doing to doing what he's doing? I'm very confused.
I thought she wanted to go far away from the West Bank, but he keeps her. There's a conversation later where she's like, I want to go further inland, closer to Dragonmount on the West Bank. And he's like, no, you have to stay close to the river. So I know there's a disagreement there where it's like he wants them to stay close to the river and she wants to go further towards Dragonmount. But that's not in this paragraph.
Yeah, they're using the same words to describe a thing that they're apparently disagreeing on. Very confusing.
Because the west bank of Tarvalin is the side that Dragonmount is on. It's to the west of Tarvalin. It's like southwest. I mean, the only reason I think she might be upset is because, like, he's doing what he's told and not because she told him to do it.
But she says West Bank and he says West Bank and then she scowls. And I just don't get where the scowl rationale is coming from.
Because he said, I was told to take you to the West Bank.
Yeah, and after she says, we are supposed to go to the West Bank, it sounds like they're both agreeing. And then later, like, Moiraine thinks perhaps she would figure out a way to turn him. But, like, turn him from what?
All I know is while looking through this, I found North Harbor.
Congratulations. Maybe you should start a podcast about it.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry. Other than Suan saying, I want you to do what I say because I say it, not because you were told.
But I still don't understand how Moiraine can be like, well, maybe you can change his mind later. Like, change his mind about what?
No, I'm
like, feels like an oversight. I feel like one of them was supposed to be the west flank of the mountain versus the west bank of the river, and then this would make sense. And also, that is, like you said, the conflict later.
Yeah. I feel like we're catching a couple of these errors, right? The whole thing with, like, take the test not on the first time.
Was this book a rush job?
Could it have been? I don't even know what you're talking about. No way. Not that none of this information is just a recap of stuff. And
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So now we have pages of description of riding through Tarvalin. The people, the clothes, the buildings don't really have anything to say about it. It is texture. The Andorrans are stubborn. The Ogier are clever at building. Like, that's what it is for pages.
Tarvalin is 10 miles long. Manhattan is 13.
Yeah, totally. Totally. It is a densely populated city where a bajillion people come. It's very wealthy. It has the banking district. People come here for their opportunities in a wide variety of things. It's New York. It's the big peach.
That's what I read. Nice. Yeah, it's a big poisonous peach. Yeah, it's just the Big Apple. It's New York City. It's even got an Ogier Grove. I mean, Central Park. Like, you know, it's 100%. You know, you look at the map, it's
got the Empire State Building. I mean, White Tower.
100%.
And it's got some pretty epic bridges getting on and off of the island.
And crossing those bridges is forbidden to them, except in this very special circumstance.
Yeah, and it's a big deal that they get to go out of it. So yeah, it's New York. It's a montage of New York. We can skip like 3 pages. They get onto the bridge, and it is briefly blockaded by a group of white cloaks who wander away, never to be seen again.
Again, just more lore drop. This is a white cloak. The white cloaks cause trouble for the Aes Sedai. They're antagonistic, right? Like, I swear to God, it's just in there so he can do a little paragraph on what the white cloaks are. He introduced the Tinkers, the Sea Folk, through all the different Aes Sedai. He's introduced the white cloaks. Like, he's introducing you to every single faction that exists in this chapter through backstories of Aes Sedai and having them pop out.
But yeah, this is just that sense of the white cloaks are an intimidating force. They're the Proud Boys, right? They just stand around looking intimidating and then wander off when anyone who actually has any kind of authority comes by.
100%. But I just see that as another one of the list. He gave us Sea Folk, Aiel, white cloaks, a lot of the different countries. I mean, he's dumping as much lore as he possibly can into these chapters to tell you, like, this is the Wheel of Time.
Yeah. We do have a fun inverse of personalities, or a mirroring of personalities, where Swan and Moiraine each have an instance of holding the power and thinking about doing something naughty with it, and then the other one telling them no, and then them looking back going, can you read my mind? How could you tell? And then, well, how would you be surprised? I know you. We've been like living together for 6 years, and it's cute. Again, they're soulmates.
To me, this is very much like, I wish Rand was here. He's good with women, right? That level of like everybody thinks the same thing, and they're thinking it about each other. And Rand and Moiraine and Suan here are thinking the same thing about each other, which is that like, oh, I know she's going to get into mischief. I better stop her before she grabs the power and causes. And they're both like, I was just using it to enhance my sight. And it's like, no, you weren't.
Yeah.
You were going to channel.
They're so cute. We get a mention of another Aes Sedai, future Aes Sedai, Serene, who we do see in the modern era, but is compared to Ellen in Turn Elid. It is Elid here. Elid and Ellen are different people or the same people? They're spelled different. Shit, I thought Elid and Ellen were the same person, and I was confusing it. But there's 2 names in this here book.
Hold on a second before we go any further. They are very different people.
Well, crap then, because the pretty one is the one that dies, as I recall. So I don't know why that Ellen sequence with the book earlier existed if it was not to build her up as a character to be sad that we lose.
Ellen spends 20 years as a novice and accepted, and she's finally raised to the shawl in Crossroads of Twilight.
Oh, she's the one that Nynaeve gets the slowing lecture about. Her younger sister. Okay. So that paragraph with Ellen to establish her as a silly girl was just to be like, oh yeah, remember her who doesn't get raised until...
She takes a long time to get raised, yeah.
Okay, all right, well, I guess I was wrong. Hopefully no one sent us an email between back when I said that and now when I'm discovering I'm right.
So, but you did say Elid, and you're like, oh, Ellen, I thought it was Elid, right? Like, you did say that back when you were looking at it, because the information was correct for Elid.
Jordan has trained me to not trust myself when it comes to names that are really similar.
Yeah, so I'm just reading the section where they're talking about the camps closest to the river versus the ones further away. And, like, this makes sense. This exchange makes sense. It feels like that previous one was supposed to be part of this and just needed to get edited out.
Yeah.
Or edited down. Like, that somehow that one interaction got split up into 2. And one of them is like, I want to go to the west. And it's like, oh, you're going to go to the east. But then that didn't work because he actually did want them on the west side. So then he, like, changed it. And then the argument doesn't make sense.
Yeah. We got to go back and listen to the audiobook because that's going to be the original.
Good point.
The audiobook, that gets recorded before any edited second publishings come out.
And they rarely pay to have it redone.
Certainly not in the early days of the books, and I don't think even now.
I think that they might with some Stormlight Archive. I think Sanderson might pay them to re-record some lines when he changes it.
Well, if anyone would, it would be Sanderson. He would have the money and flexibility to demand that. And yeah, all I have left for this chapter is them riding into the camp and going, oh no, Mirandians. And with that, I'm ready to go into chapter 5, The Human Heart.
Yeah, just the fact that the town's abandoned because everyone expects it to be burned because it's always burned in wars because it's outside the walls.
But it's one of those towns that always gets rebuilt, so it's like...
It's too valuable outside of Tarvalon to have a town there, but yeah, it gets burned down a lot.
Yeah, kind of like the city of Troy.
But, I mean, the last time it got burned down was like 1,000 years ago, right? So it's not like it gets burned down every 100 years or even every 50 years. It's like there has to be a major war.
I bet it's been burned down more recently than that.
Burned 3 times during the Trolloc Wars, once during the War of the Second Dragon, and twice during the 20-year siege of Tarvalon by Arthur Hawkwing's armies. But that was 1,000 years ago, give or take, almost.
1,000 years seems like a long time for a town to not get burned down.
You know what this town needs is a good burning down.
I mean, there literally is like ancient cities where like they would burn them down once a generation, and then now we have these giant hills that you can do amazing archaeology and to discover like 1,000 years of city history. Like, no, we've just been living in this same building for the last 1,000 years. No, that's not realistic.
I think it was more realistic when you had the Waygate built into a wall in the cellar of a house.
That doesn't actually feel realistic at all, given the way the land surface subsides and changes over the centuries. The Waygates should be getting, like... Or no, Portal Stones is what I'm thinking of. You said Waygate. Still, though...
I'm talking about the Waygate.
Yeah, I was thinking of Portal Stones. But still, though, the surface of the land is not fixed. Like, does the Waygate stay affixed to the surface of the land, or does it stay affixed to a certain point in the XYZ axis?
I'm just saying they built a wall with the Waygate incorporated, and then they built a house on top of that wall. You know the Waygate I'm talking about? The one in Cairhien?
How does that explain why this town at the foot of a bridge in Tarvalon hasn't been buried by 1,000 years of dirt accumulation?
I'm saying that's an example of things getting buried by accumulation.
Oh, yeah.
That's a better example.
Oh, that's in Caemlyn. Marzipan's right. It's in Caemlyn. It's in a basement. In Cairhien, it's in that King's Park garden thing. Right, because the Ogier Grove only recently had been enclosed by the Cairhien and Throne. It's in Caemlyn that it's in a basement, just in the middle of the city, just built right the hell over.
I thought Caemlyn would have done a better job of preserving their Ogier Grove.
You would think.
I kind of made the assumption that it wouldn't be in Caemlyn, because Caemlyn would still have their Ogier Grove, but you're right, it's gone.
Nope, Cairhien is the ones who more recently disrespected the Grove.
But they don't even have like a grove, they just have a forest where the grove used to be. Chapter 5, The Human Heart.
The symbol is again the snake in the wheel.
Surprised no hearts actually explode out of the body in this one, but you know.
I know, right? Well, it's not time for Bubbles of Evil yet. So yeah, they roll up and set up a booth to start taking all these names. It looks to be about 100 women or so. And there's a lot of shenanigans, right? There's the cluster of girls who are looking at them like celebrities and pointing at them because, ooh, their eyes to die. There's the old women who like know what they're looking at and respect them.
And this just shows you how little recruiting they do, right?
I know.
This is directly outside Tarvalon, and these people are having trouble like, ooh, maybe I do want to be an Aes Sedai. It's like, these people should have no problem talking to Aes Sedai. They should see them all the time. It's like celebrities in LA. Like, people should know how to act around them.
She says on the walk through Tarvalon that most people don't know what an acceptance dress looks like. In the city. It's ridiculous. They are too cloistered.
It's the freaking Pope.
So yeah, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of shenanigans. There's a lot of attitude. There's the whole, how old is this baby? Is this baby too old? There's charity. There's scams, right?
If you've ever worked customer service, you recognize this parade of bullshit that's coming from these people, right? Because it's money's involved. And so you got the rich people who want it for status. You've got the people who are starving, who need it. You've got and then there's and they show compassion by giving it to the one woman who's starving and her baby, she's okay. Or her baby's okay because she's taking care of the baby, but she's starving to make the baby okay. And like, there's this just back and forth between the people and Moiraine and Siuan to kind of show their character and who they are, and to show that Siuan has less problems with authority, but also can kind of recognize the poverty in a way that Moiraine might not be able to because she's a noble.
And yeah, the adventure aspect wears off really quickly, right? They're excited until about the first 30 minutes, and then it just becomes a grind.
And they discover Jesus. They discover someone who was born in a hay barn.
Yep. It's not the Jesus that they were looking for, but it is a Jesus.
A Jesus. I always headcanon that's like, you know, the Christian Jesus was born at the same time. I was like, yeah, Jesus. But what about the dragon reborn?
Right. Yeah. So it's a lot of character building, a lot of bits and pieces of attitude and world building. And then, yeah, there's this old woman who like knows who they really are. Like knows the status that they really have, presumably, you know, because she went to the tower. She ends up leading the charge later to keep the soldiers off of them long enough for them to finish taking all the names.
Okay. I didn't make that connection. Good.
Yeah, no, I like how the grandmother contingent plays a role in this thing that young women are doing, right? These two young women from the White Tower, all of these young mothers, and then the grandmas like step in to help facilitate at the edge, because that's what the crones do. After you go through the change, after your hair's gray, after men don't see you anymore, that's when you start swinging a cleaver and telling the soldiers to back the fuck up.
I've never seen that.
I can't imagine why.
God, wait, those women exist? I don't know. They just I can't see them for some reason.
Yeah, I know. They all just vanish mysteriously.
Right. Once they're not attractive to me anymore, I just can't see women.
Yeah. They all get back on that spaceship and go back to Venus. You know.
I hope everyone knows that's sarcasm.
But no, it's something that I've read a lot of women talking about, is like once you get past a certain point in your age and you've graduated up to crone status, like the fucks you have to give are very differently proportioned than when you were in mother status.
Totally.
And you see that here in the way that these grandmothers step up and are like, no, Steeler, you need to let them finish writing the list and I don't care what you say about it.
I even appreciate the clever way that like Jordan recaps, where he's like, yeah, do you have one of those, what do you call them? Reader, wisdom, wise woman? And you're like, okay, those are all this. Yeah. Where she's just trying to come up with the right word, but that tells you, oh, these are all synonyms in different places for what this person is.
Right. Which, you know, we've seen all of those. Our characters have gone to all the different nations where that's relevant.
But yeah, I really appreciate in reading this how well Jordan is packing 5 books of exposition into one book here, right? Like there is so much dense information about the world in this book that we don't necessarily need to talk about, because for us, it's, you know, we don't need to talk about like Sidene versus Sidar and what an Aes Sedai is and agelessness. Like we've talked to it to death, but this is such a good introduction and such a good way to like give you all that information in an incredibly dense format.
And then the next thing I've got is Elida and Mylan walking up and talking to them. I don't remember what Myelin Argania does elsewhere, but she is present in the present-day books. I just don't remember what she does. Myelin gets demonied. Oh. Thank you, Vuji. And yeah, we get mention of the fact that Elida was assigned to the Queen of Andor 3 years ago. So, she hasn't pestered Moiraine and Swan in 3 years, except for when she comes back to visit. She's pretty well ensconced with Morghese, right? Her dynamic with the Andoran court is well established. And she's been an Aes Sedai for... I guess she got assigned to the Queen of Andor pretty quickly after being raised to the Shawl. There's not a lot of time there. She would have gotten raised and signed out pretty fast.
Right, cool. Because remember, she requests it due to a foretelling that she has, right? That she'll be at the center of it, right? So... And
for whatever reason, the Amarlan says, sure, green-ass sister who just barely got her shawl, you go take over interface with one of the most powerful queens. I don't have anyone more experienced to send. That's obvious.
Or of a better temperament, or of a different Aja. That might be more appropriate.
I mean, I guess the Aiel War does kind of make... I don't know. Elida did good politicking to get the assignment.
There's a baby named Daniel, which I always think of the fourth boy.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm like, well, I guess people are allowed to have the same name in this world. It doesn't have to be a connection to the two rivers.
I know. But it feels like Jordan being like, I like this name and I wanted him to be significant, so I'm throwing him in here as well.
So yeah, Myelin gives us some good information. She first of all tells Elida, stop paying attention to these girls so much, which lets us, the audience, know that this is not just Moiraine having a persecution complex. This is a observable phenomena that Elida has a thing for these girls. And also, she, makes fun of Moiraine for being a prudish Kyrianan and then explains that war is good for baby making because anxiety makes people fuck.
Yeah, and by the way, Myelin is murdered in this book by the Black Aja.
Oh, she doesn't make it. Oh, because there is a Damani that's named Myelin. Oh my God, Jordan. I swear we need to do a seance just so I can yell at this man.
What is it with your names?
Ugh. Okay, so Myelin Argania gets killed. Argania. This almost sounds like Arganda, but it's not the same name, so they're not related. Okay, Myelin dies. A different person named Myelin who's not here gets demonied. Oy, oy, oy. Oh, yeah, and then Myelin interprets her warder's thoughts or emotions so that she knows what he's thinking, and then sees Moiraine be so surprised that she looks right at Moiraine and is like, I can't read minds. And it's just like the most... It's hilarious because she's acting like she can read minds while saying she can't read minds, and it's very funny.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's saying basically, I can't read his mind, but I know his emotions, and when you've been together long enough, like, just being with someone long enough, you pretty much know what they're thinking most of the time anyway. I don't know if you've experienced that with your husband, but I've certainly experienced that with my wife. And you combine that with, their emotions at the time, right? Like, that gives you a real big clue into what they're thinking about, right? If they're upset, they're probably not thinking about puppies and sunshine and rainbows.
Right. Yeah. It's all human deduction, knowing the human heart, essentially,
yeah,
right?
But I do feel like that knowing their emotion doesn't tell you what they're thinking, but it gives you a big fucking clue if there's someone you've been with for a long time.
For sure.
If someone has an interaction with somebody and is immediately upset, you're like, okay, well, I know what they thought about that interaction.
Right. They get the Aes Sedai off their backs. Steeler tries to take them back. The grandmothers force him to wait, and then they take the last of the names real quick, and then they ride back to Tar Valon real fast, to the point that Swan has to be essentially bumper car held on her horse by soldiers.
Because she's a terrible rider.
But then, I know, right? She's a terrible rider always. But then it's cool. They get back, and Steeler totally has the opportunity to say that they were trouble and get them in trouble. And instead he says, no, they were fine. Like, he does actually respect the efficiency of the work that they're doing and the fact that they did conduct themselves appropriately. And he's a crotchety old man, but he's not unfair.
Mm-hmm. And in fairness, they didn't cause problems. It was the women.
They didn't. But he's and he even gives them a respectful nod, like midway through the day, of just like he's a hard ass, but he's not an unfair hard ass.
I also want the lambs to somehow be a reference to like the shepherd and,
more like sacrificial lambs.
Sure.
They are being offered up as meat. And then Katarine is waiting to greet them when they get back, because they're the last ones back. And that is to summon Moiraine, and Moiraine alone, to the Mistress of Novices studies because, the war is over because her uncle has been killed. Also 2 of her other uncles. But, for once, Moiraine and Swan are not in trouble together. Moiraine needs to be given this information privately.
Right. Because this is outside information. And yeah, I think the horns to me, again, make sense. Trumpets from the Aiel make sense that happened. And then a day or 2 later, the information gets to the Aes Sedai.
Right, because it's going to be going at the speed of fast horses in terms of getting the full details to people. Because, pigeons, because you're sending that information back to people who do have fixed locations. Pigeons are terrible for intra-army communication, but they're fine for sending word back to the capital. So yeah, we're talking, 24 to 48 hours of lag for the full details to be hitting the big important guys.
Mm-hmm. And Moiraine seems to be a very good mistress of the novices, like almost a little bit of a psychologist, right? Kind and gentle and understanding, but also able to find out kind of what you want to keep hidden and like discuss that with you and bring it up with you, so you can't like hide your secrets, like and force your emotions down. Like she seems to be a very good mistress of the novices.
Yeah, it seems like that is really what that role is supposed to be. It's supposed to be there as a physical enforcement arm as a last resort, and yeah, the psychologist / mom hug thing as a first resort.
And she's a good mistress of the novices because she's what?
A Black Aja!
Yes, absolutely.
Darn it. I forgot about that. She is Black Aja?
She's actually Black Aja. Well, this is Moiraine Redhill.
Oh, is Redhill?
This is the Black Aja.
Oh, this is who Moraine's going to stab in the back with her little knife after everything goes completely sideways.
Mm-hmm. This is the bad guy of the book, is Moiraine Redhill.
This is the biggest, baddest, evilest guy of this particular book. And she's so warm and comforting and good at her job. And you're such an asset. And we're so glad to have you.
And is very good at ferreting out any secrets that you might have and using them against you. And reporting them up. So yeah, once again, Mistress of the Novices, always black. They should have suspected Shuriam way sooner. Jeez.
I know, right? Like, so Swan's the only one with pattern recognition?
Apparently, the Keeper and the Mistress of the Novices are the 2 roles that the Black is like, we got to keep those filled. Those are super powerful, but not upfront powerful, but for manipulating the Amyrlin seat and manipulating the people coming into the, I'm probably just checking to see who'd be willing to be Black and who's going to get recruited.
I mean, if you're the Mistress of Novices and you're getting given all the secrets and all the crying and all of the therapy,
and that's all getting reported back to the Black Aja that then gets used against all of these people as adults, not adults, but as Aes Sedai.
And you're going to know who to obfuscate stuff from and who to bring into the circle. You're going to know whose secrets you can use in the last eventuality and who can be easily manipulated without ever letting them know that they're working for the Black Aja. Like, she's going to know all of it.
Oh, and Marzipan brings up a good point with Elida. She actually attached herself to Morghese before when she looked like she was going to be queen, but before she became queen. And so she was attached before Morghese became queen, and that's how, the Aes Sedai aren't sending her there because, we have this new queen, we need an advisor for her. It's like, this person you were attached to became queen, therefore you get first dibs on it.
Is she queen at this point?
Morghese?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Morghese is queen before the Aiel War.
Well, the Aiel War gets triggered by the loss of Tigraine, though. I mean, it takes a couple years, obviously, but, the events that lead up to Lammen cutting down the throne, or cutting down the tree, starts with the loss of Tigraine. So, the Andorran throne is in a weird place for a while. Yeah, I guess I don't know, when does Morghese get crowned with respect to that?
Let's see. She won the Lion Throne for House Turcan in the Third Succession War after the death of Queen Morellin Mantir, who died. She died in 972.
Oh.
And this is 978.
Oh.
I don't know how long the war was, but yeah. So the Third Succession War basically was triggered by her death, and at the end of it, Morghese became queen. I don't know how many years the war actually took place.
So yeah, what year does Morghese become queen? Oh, and Salmonus, I put it in 974. So it's only 2 years, and all of that goes down before the Aiel War starts.
Yes.
Oh.
And so at this point, Elida's been advisor to the Queen of Andor for years.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. Well,
And was attached to her probably 5 years ago at this point, before she became queen.
okay. She still got assigned off-island duties very early after achieving her shawl. But she is very strong and very competent, so I guess that's fine.
Because when did Elida become...
Like 3 years ago.
God, the timeline almost doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's kind of my confusion.
Because if Morghese was queen in 974, Elida wasn't... She only became an Aes Sedai in 975, which is a year after Morghese became queen. So how she could have attached herself early and advised like that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. Ugh. Maybe we shouldn't have done this book. It was a mistake because we keep finding mistakes.
It does seem like it's got a lot of errors in it.
Okay, so when did Elida become Aes Sedai? Because I thought that was also 3 years ago. But maybe I'm wrong about that?
She was raised to the shawl in 973, which is more than 3 years ago. That's, if we're 978, that's 5 years ago. So that's where the error is.
But that's still weird to me that she was sent out within a year of getting her shawl to be advisor to one of the most important monarchs. Like, that's what's tripping me up, is like she was really green for that responsibility.
So here's what I'm saying. She was raised in 973, right? A year before Morghese wins. So she is raised, immediately has the foretelling, or even before she's raised has the foretelling, attaches herself to the one she believes is the potential, because you're halfway through the war and it looks like Morghese is going to win. She attaches herself to Morghese. The war ends in 974. Morghese becomes queen. Elida's already attached herself. The Amyrlin seat has no choice but to keep her attached.
You need a really good reason to justify pulling her out of there and replacing her with... Okay, that's fair. Elida's strong as hell and she's there.
Not to mention, at the time, she is the most powerful Aes Sedai to exist. And as we know, once you become Aes Sedai, doesn't matter how old you are, power is the most important thing. Elida immediately becomes a leader in the tower the second she becomes Aes Sedai, because she is so strong. She gets to do whatever she wants.
The Amyrlin seat could legally make her do something, but it is... Why? Why would you fight that battle when there's nothing to gain? Okay, no, that's fair. Elida's just a go-getter.
So you give one of your strongest Aes Sedai to one of the strongest queens who already has an attachment.
Yeah, you don't fight that. If she took that on her own initiative without asking permission, you're just going to backdate that paperwork and say that it was your plan all along. All right, yeah, that makes sense.
And the foretelling is between 970 and 972, which is after the death of... Well, right before the death of the Mantir, which is actually interesting because, right, the foretelling happens when a whole different regime, we talked about this, it's a different regime in power when she has the foretelling. And the foretelling just says it's the
Royal House of Andor is the key to winning the battle. And then she attaches herself to the new Royal House of Andor. But her foretelling was literally about the old one. Man, she's so wrong.
Yeah. So I think what was that 3-year quote that you were working with, that she was raised 3 years ago?
The 3-year quote was, it's been 3 years since she went off to be the advisor to the Queen of Andor.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that because of the history she has with Moiraine and Swan, I'm like, well, that has to be right around the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think we've sorted that out. I think there's actually no errors there. The error was just assuming that Elida had any amount of constraints placed on her once she had the shawl. No. She's Elida. She just does what she wants.
But and we see that with like Nynaeve and like once all of our Supergirls, once they become, that's the whole confrontation where they have to be like, no, you do what we say from now on with the senior Aes Sedai. It's like, we're in charge, we're more powerful. And they're like, oh, we wondered how long it would take you to figure that one out.
Right. Yeah.
I'm guessing it took Elida no time to figure that one out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, cool. So back to Moiraine.
Right. So she finds about Layman, and she feels a little guilty for not feeling guilty, but she does not feel guilty because King Layman is a dick.
Yeah, she says that literally her father is the only one of his entire age cohort in that family to not be a raging douchebag. So she's like, yeah, I don't really feel bad that they aren't in the world, making the world a worse place anymore. Like, they started a war. I'm not sad that they're dead. But she does deny herself dinner as an act of penance for not feeling bad.
Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Moiraine is like, you're in shock. You must be, right? Like,
Kind of the first clue that she's Black Aja, because she is enforcing this worldview onto Moiraine and not actually hearing Moiraine for where she's at. She is telling Moiraine how she feels, which is douchebag behavior. And so, yeah, Moiraine goes off and has nightmares about anything except her uncles, right?
are these prophetic dreams?
Well, everyone in the tower is thinking about the strongest Taviran and the most prophesied person in a bajillion years. It might not be like she's uniquely getting prophecy dreams, but I bet like every Aes Sedai is having more or less the same dreams in the sense that they're all anxious about the same shit. Also, Rand is probably having his first dream cycle in this life, so his dreams aren't shielded. But they are very accurate to what's going to happen. Babe lying in the snow, faceless young man breaking the world. Like, it's generic as hell, but it's not inaccurate.
I have to wonder if maybe someone is having these dreams, someone like Moiraine is having these dreams unshielded and they're spreading out.
But she's got her dreams shielded, right? She does the weaving
thing,
so no one else can get in.
Right.
She's rewarded to keep her dreams from affecting anyone else. Like, presumably everyone's got their dreams in their own little bubble.
Yeah, but affecting anyone else's doesn't mean necessarily she has protections on her own.
Yeah, that's what Rand implies when he learns it from Asmodeans, that he wants to learn to protect his dreams so no one can get in. Like, I assume that it's the same thing. It's a door, It works both ways. But, she's having very generic nightmare dreams. And then she goes to crawl into bed with her girlfriend, and her girlfriend says, yeah, I'm having basically the same dreams. Like, the details aren't specific enough to be creepy, but it's just, like, major ennui.
I think if the dreams are happening to anybody outside these two, we could say it's a dream thing. But if it's just these two, then it's just their anxiety and their knowledge.
Yeah, and Moiraine asks, do you think Tamara is having bad dreams tonight? And Swan responds, Aes Sedai don't have bad dreams. And it's just, you think adults have it all figured out.
Right.
We don't.
And then you find out we don't know anything.
I don't feel like an adult, and yet my birth certificate sure does suggest I am an adult now.
Oh, my God. Nothing has made me feel more like an adult than having to train younger coworkers. And going, I've been at my job now for 4 years, right? And so I'm starting to get to the point, and I work a very complicated job where it's unique enough that there's nothing you can Google. There's no real way to train for it. You really just have to do the job and there's a lot of tribal knowledge in the company. These are very complicated machines. Like it's nice job security because it's not a job that anybody can do. You really do need years of training to do the job. Not necessarily because it's harder than any of the job. It's just niche knowledge that you wouldn't need to know unless you're specifically making what we're making. So for the first time, I'm like, okay, I'm actually kind of feel a little bit like an adult when I'm training. But if I'm doing it on my own, I still feel like I know nothing. It's just when someone starts asking questions and I can actually answer those questions and I'm going, oh, maybe I do know a few things.
Just one or two. You want to do chapter 6?
Chapter 6, surprises.
And the symbol is the rising sun of Kyrian, because we're getting surprised with, hey, you want to be queen? You don't want to be queen? Too fucking bad. You're going to be queen.
And she's like, no. That moment of like, oh, do you think anybody else would be a good queen? She's like, nah, they'd all suck. And I'm like, oh, you idiot.
I know. I'm like...
Do you not realize that leaves just you?
Yeah. Like, aren't you smart enough to... Oh, anyway. Yeah, they get woken up by Setsuko, who was a girl that will be sent away very soon for not being strong enough to pass the test to even become accepted. And I really want to imagine that she goes off to become one of the kin, but I think that's just because her name is made of the same basic characters as a bunch of other kin names. I don't think she actually is in the kin.
Is she? Does she? I don't have any reference to her being sent away.
The Era Felon girl already knew that her stay in the tower would end in a few months. It's in the opening paragraph.
Okay.
So I want to imagine that she ends up with the kin, but I'm pretty sure that this name is not actually in the kin. But she seems like the kind of person that the kin would take in. She was kicked out of the tower for not being good enough. Like, if she pursues her ability to channel at all, she'll probably end up falling into their orbit somewhere.
The Watt Wiki fandom has, under speculation, it's assumed she might be a kinswoman.
It's a logical leap to make.
The next name we've got is a different accepted named Lysandra, who I don't think we ever see that name again. I don't recall what happens to her. I'm guessing she's just some person that never has anything interesting to do.
Yeah, this is the only mention of her.
Which, I mean, it's fine. We don't have to have every single name have a follow-up. Some of them can literally be red herrings. That's kind of the point.
Especially novices and accepted, because we know a ton of them drop out, fail out, die,
Right,
disappear,
yeah, it's a
right?
novice,
Like, it wouldn't
so,
make sense if every single one was significant later on in the story. We'd be like, where are all the other ones?
I mean, arguably, there are few enough women here, and the cast has been expanded enough that Jordan could have done that, but I see why he didn't.
They hear that the Aiel really are retreating from 3 different sisters, right? Seraphel, Rima, and Janet. Rima, who later becomes
Damani, right?
Damani.
Yes.
Yep, I believe so.
Seraphel is a random advisor type person, and Janet, I don't recall.
Seraphel works with Varen to study the writing, Fane's writing.
Ah, there we go.
And she's told Varen there are many lost books. So she's a Varen friend, it seems like.
Okay, all right. Nerd.
And she's brown, so.
Excellent. What about Janet? What's her deal?
She is one of the Saladar spies.
Oh, cool.
She's one of the moles.
Okay. I knew the name sounded vaguely familiar, but I could not place it.
But yeah, no follow-up other than that she's one of the 10.
Okay.
And yeah, this is one of those names where there's like more of her in this book than in any of the other books, even though she technically is in the other books. Because again, she's just referenced as part of that group. She's never referenced individually.
Gotcha. So yeah, this news excites Swan and Moiraine because now they know of the outer bound on the birth of the child window. Moiraine has now adopted Swan's view that it is possible for them to be the ones to find him.
And they will be. It'll just take 20 years.
Yeah, it won't because of your list, but whatever. And speaking of the list...
Well, that's a question. Is it because of the list? Right? Does Moiraine ever... Is Rand... Does she hear about a soldier who finds a boy?
She does. I forget where it gets mentioned, but somewhere it does get mentioned that they had heard a story of a soldier who found a child. So I don't think that there's any way of referencing if that came about because of this research or other research. But this is certainly them putting in the work. But speaking of the work, Moiraine rolls up into the accepted group fully beshawled and makes everyone think that they're about to get summoned to their testing. But instead, she's summoning Moiraine to be put to clerical work because she's in emotional shock over her uncle's dying.
Yeah. Moiraine, again, Black Aja, right? Like, what's her motivation?
Also, like, it seems like Tamra maybe suggested this, which is like, so Tamra's trying to put Moiraine in the path of information about this.
That makes sense, that she wants her to get access to all of the names.
Right, because she makes it easy for them to do that, right? When they get given a little bit of friction later on, she immediately smooths it out and says, oh, if you want to involve yourselves, I'm going to look the other way and not notice.
Yeah. And you notice Moiraine wanted to send out sisters and Tamira sent out accepted, right? So the Black Aja wanted to send out sisters, which consists of Black Aja.
Also, it just slows down your ability to catch the names, right? The accepted are a massive force multiplier on actually catching all those names. And yeah, I've got the great line from Moiraine of like, man, everyone else here seems more ready for the test than me. And I'm like, that's how you know you're ready.
Suan mentions her uncle who died saving others, and that's that story of Juan that she tells
He goes back
Matt.
into the burning building because there's
Right.
children inside. Yep, absolutely.
Which I also think is how Matt should have died, but you know.
Yeah.
He should have, the burning building being the last battle, but it's a little bit about getting Moiraine out of the tower.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Matt goes in because there's still an important ally left to be recovered, and he's willing to die rather than leave her there when there's a rescue.
Mm-hmm. He's going into the burning building. He just didn't die.
Yeah, but he was willing to die. And that's what matters, right? Is that her uncle was willing to keep going back in even once it looked impossible to come out. And his gamble didn't work out, but it's the intention rolling into the place that matters.
Also, it helps if you have Jane Farstrider to sacrifice himself for you.
I mean, yeah. But I like Swan's like empathy here of like, look, I've got some amazing uncles
truly fantastic men, would jump in front of a bullet for them. They're great. I also have some shitty uncles that I would not piss on if they were on fire, right? Like it's okay to have discernment and different emotional reactions to members of your family. Like, I like that Swan has that empathy there of not just like, oh, it's okay, you're in shock, but being like, no, I have a complicated relationship with my male kin too. It's normal. So yeah, Swan is being empathetic about uncles, and then the next thing I've got is Laras.
A pretty young thing.
A plump woman, short of her middle years and more than pretty.
She is already a strong-willed character. She is already an established force within the Tower kitchens, but she is not high up in the Tower kitchen hierarchy. She is not anywhere near being mistress of kitchens. She has perhaps 2 chins, not 4 or 5, however,
Even plump, I would say, is mostly just nicely rounded, right?
Yeah, and short of her middle years, like, she doesn't have jowls going at all, but give her another 20 years. And she is going to be just a bowling ball of doom to all the young women. But it's cool to see her here.
Yeah. The difference between what I would imagine someone who's like a 25-year-old who's been working for a few years in the kitchens versus a 45-year-old who's like in charge of the kitchens and in her prime of life and in the prime of her cooking skills.
But we should assume at this point that she's already done whatever the wild stuff that got her near to hanging a time or two that she tells Min about. Like, this is after that period in her life. I would assume that once she becomes a cook at the White Tower, she's pretty on the straight and narrow.
Oh, I don't think so. I think she's still doing pranks and shit. Yeah, I think she's still getting in trouble.
Or is she just establishing the Underground Railroad to the kin with her colorful past? Like,
Interesting. The time, we're really hitting a lot of timing issues where it's like, oh, I know they were this, but before or after we're seeing them here.
Yeah, I assumed that her wild days were before she became a cook at the White Tower, but we also do know that she is the reason why the kin are able to get girls from the White Tower smuggled to them, so she's never entirely above board.
Yeah, that's my assumption, is that she's always just a little bit of a troublemaker. She's just good at it, and no one suspects her. Yeah, not much more from Laras except for this.
Anyhow, hi, Laras.
Hi, Laras. One of my favorite, I don't know. That Laras is one of those who I think you could almost do her own novel.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, some wild short stories about the times that she went train hopping and whaling around Antarctica and all kinds of bonkers stuff told in short quippy stories. That'd be awesome.
The wiki says she is mistress of the kitchens in this moment.
She can't be because Swan appoints her to mistress of the kitchens in the books.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Bot Fandom says Laras is working as mistress of the kitchens during the Aiel War.
Yeah, that's canonically untrue. She's working in the kitchens. She is not mistress of the kitchens because mistress of the kitchens is not a position that exists yet. Swan invents it to placate Laras when she is trying to keep her from paying too much attention to the Supergirls during the sending off of the hounds.
What is her title before she becomes mistress of the kitchens?
Head cook?
Chief cook.
But I don't think she's that now. I think she's probably a line cook at this point.
So they start going through all the entries, the written entries, one by one as part of their day job. Right now that they've been assigned to that,
they are transcribing the nearly illegible lists into something much more legible.
And as they do that, they start doing a first level filtering on the names. Right? They're not writing down any of the girls' names. They're not writing anyone who's born far away from Dragon Mount. What they're doing is just sort of saying can we get a list of people who qualify under the prophecy?
Because they know a much tighter set of search conditions than Tomra was willing to put out there. Her net is huge, and Swan and Moiraine are like, well, obviously the girls can be eliminated. Obviously people nowhere near Dragonmount can be eliminated. Obviously people outside of this very tight date range can be eliminated. And that's what Tomra's looking for, but she has to be clever about acquiring it, hence the large data set.
And you want to catch everybody who might be in that small data set by having the larger data set, right? You're not sure if you constrain it before you even collect the data, you might eliminate people on the front end because of false information.
Exactly. There's so much bad information here, so much vagaries and stuff. That first data collection pass needs to be as wide as you can make it. But yeah, these guys can instantly sort out half the babies. Instantly, right off the bat.
But I'm assuming by the time they're done, even with the filtering, that they're going to come up with a couple hundred names.
I think that's what she says when they tally it up. It's hundreds of names. Like they thought that it would be like, oh, it'll be real easy. And it's like, no, it's hundreds of names. You're going to have to go to hundreds of different families and talk to them.
Which takes 20 years of traveling, because traveling is slow.
Because horses.
Right. Yeah. Do you think it would have been a lot easier if Suan had been the one searching? She would have walked in the village and been like, you're Taviran.
I know, right?
Right?
True. But they didn't know that the Dragon Reborn would be Taviran. Those are not inherently connected. Well, but Luz Theron was Taviran, though.
Luz Theron was super Taviran.
That shouldn't be a surprise, then.
No. Especially if he's going to change the world as much as the prophecies say he's going to. By definition, he almost has to be Taviran.
Right. Would the baby be Taviran, though? Or do they have to be a certain age before the glow kicks on for her talent?
Yeah. I think we decided that they didn't become Taviran until after they left the Two Rivers, because the world didn't start changing for them. But at the same time, like, the world did kind of set them up ahead of time. But that's more the pattern setting them up, unless Taviran, but Taviran affects the pattern. So where do you draw that line, right? How is Egwene not Taviran?
Yeah.
But she's not.
Yeah.
But the pattern still sets her up in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't believe they're Taviran until the pattern starts swirling around them specifically and their physical location, which I don't think happens until after they leave the Two Rivers, and may not even happen until Eye of the World.
Yeah. On the other hand, it's kind of Taviran-y for a soldier to find an infant on a battlefield in the snow before the infant dies of exposure, because it literally was just pushed into the world.
And that is the debate we've had. What is Taviran? What is the pattern? What is prophecy fulfilling itself? Like, is he Taviran before he's born? Can he influence, he needed Tigraine in the waste for him to be born in the way that he needed to be born. Is that Taviran?
He needed that one particular sperm from Janduin, and that's why all the other sperms didn't make it.
Exactly. It's just like, come on. Like, at some point, like, yeah, you have to say that's just the pattern weaving towards a result. And it's only once he starts really affecting coincidence around him, that's Taviran.
Yeah, and I'd say also you could probably pin it around when the talent for channeling kicks in is probably when the pattern's going to be able to, like, take more notice of someone.
Sure. And we really see it. I think we see it almost more with Matt and Perrin, because they gain special abilities when they become Taviran. They were never Taviran from birth.
Right, because their births were not foreordained in the same kind of complex way. They're just the two friends of the Dragon Reborn, and that is what gives them that.
And so I think it's much easier to pinpoint when they become Taviran, when they start influencing the world around them.
And again, by that logic, Egwene and Nynaeve can be Taviran too, especially Egwene.
Right. Yeah, right. That was the one thing I thought the show did really well, was make them Taviran. And I thought that was, yeah, of course, make them Taviran. Now, the whole who's the Dragon Reborn I didn't like as much, because it was such a gendered thing going into it.
Part I liked least was there are rumors of Taviran. I'm like, these kids don't know what Taviran are, and nothing weird is happening near them. Where are the rumors coming from? Who's rumoring? What events are getting rumored, and who is making these rumors that these kids don't even know what Taviran is? That was the part that felt like the biggest stretch to me, genuinely. Well, that and the gender thing, but that's just such a simple change to make that it didn't feel like a stretch. It just felt like a break. There's a difference. So yeah, they go back the next day and they start working. And then clerks come in and say, excuse me, this is my job. And Swan goes with the better to ask for permission than forgiveness and says, just keep working. Just work while they go off and get Tamara. And then when Tamara shows up, she immediately puts two and two together and says, yeah, sure. You want to do that? Go for it.
So here's the question. Did Tamara actually set them up to be doing this? Or because, right, we were told that from Moiraine.
She says, the mother agreed that you can copy out the lists that are near unreadable.
Mm-hmm. But then Tamara walks in.
So who suggested it? Well, because Tamara walks in the next day, right? Tamara walks in the next day thinking, oh, you would only want to do it for one day, which, like, I think is kind of weird. Which does kind of suggest that Moiraine was the one originating the idea.
Right. I had intended you to have a free day or to read or study as you chose, Tamara said slowly. So she was not like, and that has to be the truth. She can't lie about that. So she didn't intend them to be doing this copying. Yeah.
But she yes ands it real fast. She says, oh, you two want to be at the choke point of information? Okay. I'm not going to fight that. I'm going to let you have initiative, even though you're not Aes Sedai yet. I'm going to let you insert yourselves at will.
And then I was curious about this, like, what is it? Triple negative that she throws it. I won't tell you to not channel to do it. I guess that's only a double negative.
Yeah, she just wants to let Moiraine and Swan know that she sees what they're doing and she's fine with it. Using the analogy of this little ink stain to be like, I'm not going to tell you what not to do because you already know what you need to do.
And you think the ink stain is an analogy for copying down the names or whatever?
I mean, think about how the ink stain was an analogy with Guitarra falling over and spreading that ink stain out. And Tamra saying, do what you got to do to clean up that ink stain. Whatever you have to do. I don't care. Like, just clean it up. Use your powers to deal with this black blot that is spreading across our future.
That caused by Tamara and her prophecy, right? Guitar.
Athlon, I would think that Tamra and Guitarra were suspicious that the Black Aja existed before this happened. Like, I think the Aiel War, the decline of the Tower, various deaths that had happened in various nations. I feel like the Keeper and the Amerlin, looking out at the world, getting these foretellings of doom and gloom, probably were like, let's just assume the Black Aja exists and be pleasantly surprised when it turns out we were wrong.
Yeah, but at the same time, she sets up this whole mission and all the word gets out and they all get killed and she gets killed. So she's not careful enough.
That doesn't mean she's not suspicious of the Black Aja. Like, Athlon just says, does Tamara suspect the Black Aja? And it's like, I can't imagine that she's so naive as to think the Black Aja doesn't exist, given what is going on. She's the Amerlin. She knows everything. Surely she's suspicious that there are some Aes Sedai that are not fully above board. Most Aes Sedai act like it's the most grievous insult in the world to suggest it, but I just can't believe that the Amerlin, with that keeper, was that naive.
And so this is the second time that they talk about rules or can be broken.
Right, you have to know how to break the rules, when to ask permission versus forgiveness. What is not forbidden is allowed. That whole brain pretzel suite of tools.
Right, and you have to know what the rules are before you can break them, so you know when to break them.
Right, you have to understand why the rules exist, so that way you can circumvent them effectively.
It's been mentioned multiple times.
Yeah, it's an important part of being an Aes Sedai. It's an important part of playing the game of houses. It's an important part of surviving people who are Aes Sedai and playing the game of houses, right? It's a very important thing to keep in mind for all of our characters as they go through this whole world.
Next thing I have is them copying the books.
Yeah. So yeah, Moiraine sets aside this piece of scratch paper and Swan's like, bitch, please. I already have a little notebook. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Did you not know this is what we were going to do today?
Right. So Moiraine comes with one name and Swan's like, yeah, I've already got 9 that I've written down. Like, yeah, give me that one. Come on. Yeah, let me add it to the list. Yeah.
For sure.
Of course, this is what we're doing.
And then we get the parade of Aes Sedai angling for Moiraine and her political power, starting with Jarna Malari, which that name sounds familiar. I don't remember where else she exists, but that name sounds very familiar. Oh, head of the Black Aja before Alviarin. She's currently the supreme commander of the Black Aja.
She is so very black.
Yeah. So that's why the name is familiar.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so this is the one that Shamael tortures to death over something that happens in this book, I think.
Yeah, 979. She has Tamara killed, right? In 82, she sent the Black Aja to hunt and kill the Dragon Reborn. She's the one who does the vileness.
Okay.
She initiates the vileness. Ishii doesn't want the Dragon Reborn dead.
So the buck stops with her and her head rolls.
Yes.
And Alviarin is elevated into that void because she's a pile of ash now. So, okay. All right.
Right. Because Ishii doesn't want Rand dead.
No.
The first 3 books, he or I guess the first 2 books, he doesn't want Rand dead. He's trying to turn him. The last book, he goes insane and wants him dead. Then Rand wins, kills him, and then, again, the Dark doesn't want Rand dead. But most of the series, they don't want Rand dead. They want him turned. So Jarna going off on her own and saying, let's take him down. Let's do the vileness. Let's kill all these people. But yeah, all these people being killed at her behest.
Okay, and that's why her name is familiar, is because it matters who the supreme commander of the Black Aja was. So yeah, and she rolls on in being like, affairs of state never wait on matters of grief. Would you like to be queen? I mean, she doesn't say it outright. It's a different Aes Sedai that says it outright. But this is the beginning of the parade of, so none of your relatives would be good rulers for Cairhien. would you be a ruler of Cairhien? Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Did you notice who's not mentioned at all here? The guy who actually becomes the High Seat of Domundred, Barthanas.
Huh. That is weird that he's not mentioned here.
A Cairhien lord, High Seat of House Domundred, and cousin to Laman. He is second only to the king in power.
Well, it's probably because he's a cousin. Right, he's probably not near enough to the throne at this time because they're working through Laman's siblings and then all of his nieces and nephews. Probably when Moiraine bounces out, they're forced to go deeper into the family tree, and that's when they come up with cousins. That'd be my guess for why he's not mentioned now. He's just farther away from the throne than Moiraine.
He does succeed King Laman as the High Seat of House Domundred.
Yeah, he does ultimately is the one that takes over.
But it's just interesting that nobody brings him up, right? He's the one who eventually gains power, and no one's talking about him in this moment.
I think because they had to dig that far down the family tree before they found a suitable candidate. I think that's why he's not mentioned, is like nobody who was on the short list was actually appropriate. But yeah, here we get the mention that Tarangale is the half-brother and is married to the Queen of Andor, reminding us that Moiraine is Elaine's aunt. I mean, half aunt, but whatever. At this point, I don't think it matters, you know? And Tarangale will be dying in like the next couple of years to Tom's blade, right? If Rand was just born, this means that Elaine has not yet been conceived because she's younger than him. And if he was only just born, then she can't even have been conceived yet, which means that Tarangale has 3 or so years left to live, right? Because he has to father Gawain, and then he fathers Elaine. She's the younger of the two. Probably like 3 or 4 years left on his lifetime.
And Gawain is older than Rand?
Yes.
I think by like a year?
Because he's already married to Morghese, and they have kids at a pretty, they get married, they have kids.
Pretty much right away.
So yeah, if she got married to him recently, then that means that Gawain would, already be born, and they're on the gap between Gawain and Elaine right now.
He's assassinated in 984.
Oh, that's in like 8 years, isn't it? From now, right? What year are we in? I thought we were in like 78.
78, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like 6 years.
6 years. Okay, so he must have like just married Morghese then, in order for those birth dates to work out. Unless she had like 3 years between kids instead of 2 years between kids.
1970, he marries Tigraine and fathers a son Galad in 970. Not 1970.
Oh, right, because Tarangale was also Galad's father because he was already married to the Queen of Andor.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so he was married to the Queen of Andor long before any of this shit went down. He's been out of the running for a long, long time.
And then he marries Morghese after the disappearance of Tigraine. Right, so he has to marry. So he has Gawain. Tigraine disappears. He has Gawain. Tigraine has Rand. Aiel War happens. Then they have Elaine. Because Gawain is born in... Oh, I don't know if we have an exact date for his birth.
Nobody likes Gawain enough to remember his birthday.
Basically.
And to respond to chat, yes, Tarangale did have to give up titles and claims on his Cairhien side in order to not threaten the Andoran royalty he was marrying into. That was a whole deal with like whose name got to go to the kids and blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gawain is 979. Wait, so Gawain is younger than Rand, too.
But by like a few months, though.
Yeah.
Like, they're really close to the same age, but actually younger by some number of months.
Mm-hmm. Huh. So Gawain is not born yet. I would assume that she's pregnant with him at this point.
I would assume that, he's gestating, but he's very much not born yet.
Right. But Galad's around and is like 6.
Yeah, Galad is around and already far more mature than his age would suggest because he's dealt with a lot of tragedy already. His father's probably being a total dick.
So the next person, Susama, comes up, tries to also convince her to be queen, basically. Sort of spells it out, yeah.
One per Aja. Every Aja sends a representative to suggest that. And yeah, Sutama Wrath from the Red is the one who says, have you never thought of being Queen of Cairhien yourself? She pulls no punches. And Sutama, remember, is head architect of the vileness publicly. She's the one that takes the public fall for the vileness.
Because the Red is the people who do it, yeah.
Exactly. Oh yeah, and this is where we get the name Anver.
But she ends up becoming the highest of the Red Aja after Galena dies. Mm-hmm. So even though she's punished because of the vileness, she then later becomes head of the Red.
She paid her penance, you know.
Jeez. Yeah. And so the chapter ends with Moiraine going, I don't want to be queen. I need to figure out a way to escape and get out of this.
Yeah, you ready for me to read us out for the day?
Yeah, let's read us out of this giant chunk.
Thus she gained another nightmare to join the babe in the snow and the faceless man. She sat on the sun throne wearing the shawl of an Aes Sedai, and in the streets outside, the mobs were destroying the city. No Aes Sedai had been a queen in over 1,000 years, and even before that, the few who admitted it openly had fared badly. But if that was the goal of the Hall of the Tower, how could she forestall it? Only by fleeing the tower as soon as she did gain the shawl and staying away until matters resolved themselves in Cairhien. She spent most of that sleepless night praying to be tested soon. Even tomorrow would not be too soon. Light she was not ready, but she had to escape. Somehow.
And with that, section 1, which was 3 hours and 20 minutes of recording, is done. And I'm turning recording off.
I am profoundly tempted to split this into 2.
I think that's totally fair to do.
Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Please rate and review us on your podcast app, and consider supporting us on Patreon for ad-free episodes. What Spoilers is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.